Most people walk into Bass Pro Shops and head straight for the wrong aisle. They grab freeze-dried meals. They pick up tactical flashlights with 7 modes they'll never use. They fill a cart with gear that looks like survival, but performs like decoration. Military survival training rewires how you see that store. Every aisle becomes a capability source. Every product gets weighed against one question. Does this keep me alive when systems fail? One item on this list costs under $5. It weighs nothing. Most people would laugh if you told them to pack it. It holds a liter of water, 9 items, all from one store, total cost under $200. This loadout covers shelter, water, fire, medical, tools, and signaling. Civilians shop by department, veterans shop by capability gap. Number 1. Quality fixed blade knife. You're looking for a full-tang fixed blade, 4 to 6 inch range, K-bar, Morikniv, or Gerber, $20 to $50 depending on the model. This isn't a debate. Every military survival curriculum in this country puts a fixed blade at position 1, not a multi-tool, not a folder, a fixed blade. Here's what civilians get wrong. They walk into that knife aisle and reach for the multi-tool. 30 functions in one package sounds smart. It isn't. A folding mechanism has a pivot point. That pivot point is a failure point. You're betoning wood to process fire fuel. You're prying apart debris. You're driving a blade through frozen material. That pivot fails under lateral stress. It fails under impact. It fails when you cannot afford failure. A full-tang fixed blade has no moving parts. The steel runs from tip to pommel as one continuous piece. You baton wood for fire. You process game for food. You notch stakes for shelter. You pry when nothing else will. You scrape ferro rods for ignition. One tool, 5 core functions, 0 failure points. The multi-tool gives you 30 functions with 1 catastrophic weakness. The fixed blade gives you 5 functions with none. That math is not complicated. That's your foundation piece. Running total, $20 to $50. I've put together a complete guide on wilderness preparedness that goes deeper than any single video can, and you'll find it in the first line of the description. Number 2, Ferro Rod Fire Starter. You'll find these in the camping accessories section, $8 to $15. A ferro rod throws sparks at roughly 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit. That number matters. It works at altitude, it works in humidity, it works in sub-zero temperatures, it works in rain. Now think about when you actually need fire. You need fire when conditions are the worst, when it's cold, when it's wet, when you're shaking. That is precisely when lighters fail. Butane doesn't vaporize well below freezing. Matches absorb moisture through the striker pad. The conditions that make fire critical are the conditions that kill your other ignition sources. A ferro rod doesn't care. It's a metallic alloy, scrape steel across it, 5,400 degree sparks. Every time, for thousands of strikes. One rod outlasts hundreds of lighters. But here's the veteran knowledge layer that most people miss. The rod is half a system. Sparks need tinder. Without prepared tinder, you've got a 5,400 degree spark landing on nothing. Dry bark shavings, cotton balls with petroleum jelly, fat wood scrapings. You prepare tinder before you need fire. That's a skill purchase, not a product purchase. The ferro rod is the ignition. Your knowledge is the fuel system. Together, they're reliable fire in any condition. Running total, $28 to $65. Number 3, Sawyer Squeeze water filter. This is arguably the single highest value item in that entire store. It filters down to 0.1 microns. It handles bacteria. It handles protozoa. It processes up to 100,000 gallons before replacement. One filter, 100,000 gallons. Think about that number. Here's the civilian error, and it's massive. Walk through any preparedness aisle. Watch what people load into their carts. Freeze-dried meals, canned goods, MRE knockoffs, food, food, food. Then watch what they skip. Water purification. Military doctrine is explicit on this. The rule of threes governs survival priority. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter in harsh conditions. 3 days without water. 3 weeks without food. Water sits ahead of food by a factor of 7 in that timeline. Dehydration degrades cognitive function first, then physical performance collapses. You can't think, you can't move efficiently, you can't make decisions. Katrina proved it, Maria proved it again. People with water purification survived and functioned. People with food stockpiles and no clean water deteriorated fast. You're spending 60% of your budget on the thing that kills you last and 10% on the thing that kills you third. That's inverted priority. The Sawyer Squeeze corrects it for $30 to $40. Now here's the trained edition. Pair this filter with chemical purification tablets. Aquamira or Catadin micropore. Another $8 to $10. That's PACE methodology. Primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. Your primary is the Sawyer. Your alternate is chemical tabs. You now have 2 independent water purification systems. If one fails, the other covers. This is how military planning treats the one consumable you cannot survive without. Running total, $66 to $115. Number 4, emergency bivvy. SOL emergency bivvy, or quality mylar blanket. $5 to $20 in the camping section. This weighs ounces. It costs almost nothing. It might save your life before anything else on this list gets a chance to. Military doctrine ranks thermoregulation above water, above food, above nearly everything, except immediate trauma care. Hypothermia kills inside 3 hours in harsh conditions. That's not a rough estimate. That's the rule of threes applied to shelter. 3 hours. You've got 3 hours to solve your exposure problem, or your body solves it for you by shutting down. An emergency bivvy reflects up to 90% of your radiated body heat back to your core. You're not generating new warmth. You're capturing what your body already produces. That's physics doing the work. Now here's where this item earns its place beyond thermoregulation. That reflective surface is visible to search aircraft. You've got a signaling panel, lay it on the ground, and you've got a moisture barrier between you and the earth. Rig it at an angle, and you've got a rain catchment surface. Wrap yourself, and you've got your primary thermal layer. 4 functions: signaling, ground barrier, water collection, thermoregulation, negligible weight, negligible cost. Most people skip this because it looks like a piece of foil. That piece of foil addresses the thing that kills you fastest, running total. $71 to $135. Number 5. Headlamp with red lens mode. Petzl, Black Diamond, or Princeton Tech. $20 to $50. You'll find them in the camping or hunting section. Veterans never carry handheld flashlights for survival. Never. A handheld light occupies one of your 2 hands. Think about what you do in a survival situation. You treat wounds, you build shelter, you navigate terrain, you process materials. Every one of those tasks requires 2 hands. A headlamp frees both. It points where you look. It works while you work. That's a force multiplier. Now pay attention to this. The red lens mode is the trained differentiator. Your eyes have 2 vision systems. Photopic vision uses bright light. Scotopic vision is your low light adaptation. It takes your eyes roughly 30 minutes to fully develop scotopic vision. 30 minutes of darkness before your pupils dilate and your rod cells activate to maximum sensitivity. One burst of white light destroys it. Instantly, you're back to 0. 30 more minutes to rebuild. Red light preserves scotopic vision. You can read a map, you can check a compass, you can treat a wound, and your low light vision stays intact. This is standard infantry knowledge. It's taught in every night operations module. It almost never appears in civilian camping content. That gap costs people 30 minutes of adaptation every time they click on a white headlamp at 2 in the morning. Running total, $91 to $185. Number 6, fishing line and hooks, no rod. This is where veteran selection diverges hard from civilian instinct. Skip the rod and reel aisle entirely. Go to the terminal tackle section, Buy bulk monofilament line at 50-pound test. Buy a hook variety pack, under $10 total. It compresses to the size of a card deck. Here's what you're actually buying. You're not buying a fishing setup. You're buying the most versatile cordage option per ounce in that store. 50-pound monofilament is snare wire. Run it between trees at ankle height and you've got a tripwire perimeter alert. It's improvised suture material in a medical emergency. It lashes shelter joints. It repairs torn gear. It secures splints. The hooks aren't just for fish. They're fabrication hardware, improvised triggers, small game procurement components. Look at what military SERE kits contain. Line and hooks. Always. Look at what they never contain. Rods. That tells you everything about what the people who study survival actually value. A rod and reel costs $40 to $100. It does one thing. It's heavy. It's bulky. It's fragile. Line and hooks cost under $10. They do 8 things. They weigh nothing. They pack flat. Cost per function isn't even close. Running total, $101 to $195. This is the one. Write this down. Number 7. Unlubricated condoms. This is the item that stops people mid-scroll. Under $5 for a multi-pack, weighs functionally nothing. And it might be the most underestimated piece of survival gear in that entire building. An unlubricated condom holds approximately 1 liter of water. 1 liter. You fill it from a stream, a rain catchment, a purification output. You've got an improvised canteen that costs you pennies and weighs less than a coin. This technique is taught in multiple military survival courses. It's not a joke. It's not a novelty. It's applied physics. Latex is waterproof, flexible, and extraordinarily strong for its weight. But water carry is just the first function. Stretch one over your muzzle, and you've got a dust and moisture cover for a firearm. Slide your phone or electronics inside, and you've got instant waterproofing. Store dry tinder inside one, and it stays dry no matter what conditions throw at you. Use one as a barrier layer over a wound dressing to keep contaminants out. The utility-to-weight ratio is nearly infinite by military packing standards. Every gram in your kit has to justify its presence. A condom justifies itself 5 times over before you even finish unpacking. This is the pick that separates people who shop by label from people who shop by physics. Most people walk past this aisle because the packaging doesn't say tactical on it. Trained people walk toward it because the capability per ounce is unmatched. Under $5, 5 functions, virtually 0 weight. There isn't a single piece of gear in that store with a better efficiency ratio. Running total, $106 to $200. Number 8. SERE tourniquet or Israeli bandage. Check the hunting section. Check the safety section. When Bass Pro stocks these, and most locations do, this becomes possibly the most important purchase in the building. Here's why. Tactical combat casualty. Care data from Iraq and Afghanistan established something critical. Extremity hemorrhage was the leading cause of preventable battlefield death, not chest wounds, not head injuries, extremity bleeding, limbs, arms and legs. The adoption of tourniquets across military units reduced that mortality dramatically. A CAT tourniquet properly applied stops arterial bleeding in seconds. An Israeli bandage applies direct pressure to wounds that need compression, $30 for either one. Now here's where civilians get this wrong. They think this is combat gear. They think this is for soldiers. It's not. Traumatic bleeding happens everywhere. Vehicle accidents, power tool injuries, chainsaw kickback, falling through debris in a disaster. A severed artery gives you minutes, sometimes less. You're not waiting for an ambulance when the grid is down. You're not driving to an emergency room when roads are blocked. You are the medical response. But here's the critical veteran caveat. A tourniquet applied incorrectly is worse than no tourniquet at all. Applied too loosely, it occludes venous return without stopping arterial flow. That worsens bleeding. The item without training is incomplete. Learn to apply it. Practice on yourself. Practice on others. The $30 purchase means nothing without the 30 minutes of training that makes it functional. Running total, $136 to $230. Number 9. Contractor grade trash bags, 3 mil thickness, 20 count box, roughly $15 from the hardware or outdoor section. This is the item that doesn't look like survival gear. It looks like trash day. That's exactly why most people walk past it. Here's what 3 mil contractor plastic actually gives you. Cut a head hole and 2 armholes. You've got an improvised poncho. Lay it flat. You've got a ground sheet that blocks moisture wicking from the earth into your body while you sleep. Rig it between anchor points. You've got a rain catchment surface. Line the inside of your pack. Everything stays dry. Tape 2 together and stretch them over a frame. You've got a shelter wall that blocks wind and rain. Build a solar still by digging a pit, placing a container in the center, covering with plastic, and weighting the center. The sun evaporates ground moisture that condenses on the underside and drips into your container. Clean water from dirt. Use one as an improvised reservoir for wound irrigation. Wrap yourself inside one, and you've created a vapor barrier. A sealed plastic layer traps your body's radiant heat and blocks convective wind loss. That combination can raise effective temperature inside an improvised shelter by 10 to 15 degrees. Military field expedient training teaches heavy plastic sheeting for hasty shelter construction. Contractor bags are that sheeting in a portable pre-cut format. Count the functions: poncho, ground sheet, water collection, gear waterproofing, shelter wall, solar still, wound care, vapor barrier. 8 functions, $15, under a pound. Per dollar and per ounce, this may be the single highest utility item on the entire list. Final total: $151 to $245. 9 items. 1 store. Total capability covers shelter, water, fire, medical, cutting, cordage, signaling, and illumination. The rule of threes is covered at every level. Preparedness isn't an equipment budget, it's a selection philosophy, and if you want everything I know about building that philosophy into a system, I've written it up for you in the description. Drop a comment and tell me which item on this list you already carry and which one you're adding next.